Hello my friends, my name is Erin and welcome back to another episode of TBR Slasher. If you missed the previous two episodes, I will have them linked down below. I'll give you a quick explanation so you know what you're getting into if you missed the last two episodes. Basically, this is my version of the challenge to try and read every book on my physical TBR, but I spin this wheel, whatever category it lands on, I get to pick a book that fits in the category. This is a way that I can make it a little easier to mood read, but still trying to get my physical TBR down. So hopefully by the end of this year, I mean, we'll see. Since it is February, I am going to try and have every author I read be a Black author. I'm fairly positive I can do this with every category. I am going to try to read only Black authors in this episode of TBR Slasher. So it is time to spin the wheel to see what our first category is, and then I will pick a book and hopefully I will enjoy it and it will become a final girl. The goal is to only have one final girl, one book that I keep and want to put on my shelves, and the others will potentially be unhauls. I have cheated a little bit and not unhauled every book that wasn't the final girl, but that is the overall goal, is to only have one final girl. Hence the name TBR Slasher. Let's spin this wheel. Oh my gosh, this is our first Erin's Choice. I'm literally so happy. Look at that. It's Erin's Choice. Oh my god. Wow. I have so many options in front of me. Oh my god, I don't know what I want to read. Oh, this is exciting. What a good start. So I'm gonna have to go look at my options and then see what I want to read. Oh, I don't know. Okay, let's go look and see what I have in front of me. Okay, so I perused my shelves and I don't really know what kind of mood I'm in, but I found a cute little romance called Deja Brew, and then the other option is The Black Girl Survives in this one, which is a short story collection, and I think I'm leaning towards this one right now. I'm kind of in a horror mood. I've had this on my shelves for when did this come out? I don't actually know. I'm pretty sure I bought it pretty fast when it came out. So it was 2024. So whenever this came out, I'm pretty sure I bought it immediately. So it's been on my shelves for a good amount of time. I feel like a short story collection might be what I'm in the mood for right now. If we land on romance later or another Erin's Choice, I might go with this one because it does sound really, really cute. And I am in a romance mood. I guess a romance and horror mood. But I think I'm gonna go with this one, so we'll start here. I'll try to write down my favorites so that way I can let you all know. I guess I could rate them all individually, maybe. We'll see. I don't know how I'm gonna go about this, but I'm gonna read this one and I will check in when I finished it. Okay, so I have finished The Black Girl Survives in this one, and I have to say this was such an enjoyable and delightful little short story collection. This is YA. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but this is a YA short story collection, and I know so many of you have told me in the comments before that you just don't love short stories, and I get it. It's hard to do a good short story collection, especially something like this where there are multiple authors contributing. I personally do prefer a short story collection by one author because it just feels a little bit more seamless, and this can feel a little discombobulated, a little all over the place. And I'm gonna be honest, not every story in this book was my favorite. Like, not every story in this collection worked for me. But I will say, even though that's true, there were such bright spots in the writing that I can totally see these authors making banger books. I can see them taking what they learned from these short story collections and making a debut novel that is so successful, and I really, really, really love that. A lot of these authors I have either read from before or they are on my TBR, but I know several of the authors either haven't put out anything yet. I need to look a little bit more into some of the authors. They either haven't put out anything yet or I haven't heard of them before. So I'm very excited to have a list of authors to watch out for and to check up on. So I know this isn't going to be for everyone, but I will say the stories definitely have a range. There's space horror, body snatchers, monster horror, ghosts, supernatural stuff. Like, there's something kind of all over the board. So I think you'll like at least one story in here, and I know that's not necessarily going to sway everyone because a lot of people don't love short story collections where one story is like the absolute standout, but like I said before, I think the authors do shine even if they aren't perfect stories, and I look forward to seeing their work more. I'm going to put up my ratings of all the stories on the screen somewhere over here. Probably I'm going to show you all of my ratings. I did rate every story individually, but I will say that my favorite stories were The Harvesters, which was the very first story in the collection. This, like, it set everything off with a bang. Such a great story. I really liked The Brides of Devil's Bayou. Black Girl Nature Group was really good. The Skittering Thing was really creepy. I really enjoyed Fox Hunt, which was the last story in the collection as well. I thought that was a very solid story to end on. And there were several stories that I gave 3.5, like Ghostlight, Queeniums for Greenium, Inheritance, and The Black String. I gave those like 3.5. I really enjoyed those as well. I think every story has some really good merit in the collection, and I think it did really good things. Just because they didn't necessarily work for me or weren't my taste doesn't mean they were bad, and I really enjoyed this. I think it was very, very fun. They fly by really quickly because they are YA, so I feel like they didn't take a lot of time to jump in and get going. So yeah, I'm really, 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 really impressed with this collection, and I'm kind of sad that I waited so long to read it, but I'm glad that I've read it now. It was really, really, really good, and this could potentially be my final girl for this video if I don't find anything that I like more. I think I'm gonna rate this a solid 4-star though, because I did really like and enjoy most of the stories and had a good time overall and a good experience overall. So you know what that means. We're gonna spin the wheel. I don't know why I decided to sing that. It wasn't very good, but yes, we're gonna spin again. Hopefully I get a good category and I can read another good book. So let's see what the wheel wants me to read. Young adult. Okay, not my first choice, especially since I just read a young adult, but I think I have the perfect book. I've been meaning to read this one. So let's take a stroll to my shelves and pick up the book that I'm going to read next. At my shelves, and I think the next book I'm going to read is Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I really enjoyed Ace of Spades by this author, and I am very much looking forward to this one. So this is going to be my next read for our TBR slasher. So let's hope that this one's a good one, because it is kind of long. Not super long, but a little bit long. So I'll update you when I finish this one. Okay, so I'm back and I have a very unpopular opinion about this book. I was looking at some of the reviews on Goodreads after I finished it, and people don't really like this book. I've seen some very mixed reviews, and a lot of people are saying that this author's first book, Ace of Spades, is much better, and I read Ace of Spades. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but I liked this better. Like, I liked this more. Like, I really liked this book. So I'll give you a little brief synopsis. In this book, we're following 16-year-old Sade, and she has been homeschooled her whole life. So she ends up going to a boarding school, and the next day, like, she spends the first night there. The next day she wakes up and her roommate is missing. And it leads her down this whole path to try and figure out what happened, and there are so many secrets and things going on at this school. Yeah, I really liked it. It kind of gave me Mean Girls vibes. There's a trio of girls in this book. They call them the unholy ones, and everyone's like super fascinated by them, and they have this aura about them, and people just like stop and watch them. Like, they're just so enamored by these girls, and they remind me a lot of the plastics from Mean Girls. It kind of made me giggle. I found that a little interesting because Ace of Spades reminded me a lot of like Gossip Girl, so I kind of love that because I am a Gossip Girl fan and a Mean Girls fan, and I think it works having something like that to look at with this book, but then also have this mystery suspense addition to the novel. So I really liked that. This book is long, I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot of what the negative reviews were saying, that it drags and it drags. Personally, I do think it is too long, but I'm just someone who doesn't really like a book to be over 350 pages. But that being said, I personally did not feel like the book dragged. I did feel like it could have been chopped a little. It is a lengthy book. I'm not gonna deny it. But for me personally, I didn't feel like it was dragging, or I was bored, or wanting the story to rush and get to the point. Like, I loved these characters. Sade is a great main character. I love her. I love a lot of the characters. Baz is a great character. I mean, I liked a lot of the characters. I think there are a lot of great characters in this one. And if you aren't someone that really likes the characters being the main focal point of a story, I can see why you also wouldn't like that, because that is a very important part of this book. It also reminds me of one of my favorite movies, and I don't want to say the name of the movie because I feel like that'll give a lot of this book away, and I don't know if I want to do that, but it does remind me a lot of one of my favorite movies, so I think it did work in my favor that way as well. I think there were good twists. I think the story has really deep messaging. Classism, racism, elitism. There's also sexual assault involved in this story. So definitely check triggers before you read this, because it is very emotional. It's very dark. It's not an easy subject to read about in this book, and I think this author tackles the subject matter that she chooses to use in her stories so incredibly well, and I just loved it. I'm probably gonna give this 4.5. I feel like I can't give it 5 because it was like a little long in my opinion, but I feel like I also could bump this up to a 5-star because personally I liked it more than Ace of Spades, and I really enjoyed Ace of Spades. I thought that book was really good. I'm in the minority with this one. I really liked it. I think this author is a talented writer, and I obviously have enjoyed all of her books so far, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of their work when it comes out. Like, I'll definitely keep this author on my radar because I really enjoyed this. I liked the boarding school aspect, the dark academia kind of vibe. I loved the messaging. I loved the characters. Like, I had a great time. It was a good book. I don't know. So this one is kind of pushing the Black Girl Survives in this one a little. I'm sorry, it's pushing it a little because this could be my final girl. To be fair, we could have 2 final girls, so, you know, but this one, it's pretty good. I'm sorry. I really liked it. I really liked it. But you know what that means? It's time to spin. So I'm really hoping I can land on something that's not YA, because I've read 2 YA books back to back and I'm a little bit tired of the YA right now. So I would like to hopefully get something like a thriller or a horror or something, you know, like something different. We're gonna spin the wheel and hopefully land on something a little bit of a different vibe. So let's see what we get. Book subscription. Okay. This is good because I have a new release that I want to read. I know which book we're picking. This one also has a lot of mixed reviews on it, so apparently I'm just reading mixed reviewed books in this vlog. Let me grab it and then I will show you what it is, obviously. Duh. Okay, so this is one of my Aardvark book subscription picks, and it is This Cursed House by Adele Sandine, I think is how you pronounce this author's name, but I have heard a lot of mixed things about this one. I think it's about a family that is cursed. It's a Southern Gothic horror about a young black woman abandoning her life in 1960s Chicago for a position with a mysterious family in New Orleans, only to discover the dark truth. They're under a curse and they think she can break it. Okay, so a cursed family, Southern Gothic. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully I like it, but again, I've seen mixed things, so who knows? I will update you when I finished it. Well, I feel like I have so much and yet so little to say about this book. So this takes place during the 1960s and our main character is Gemma. She currently lives in Chicago, but she is moving to New Orleans because she got a new job for a very wealthy family. She's under the impression that she's like a tutor for a child, or she has some kind of like teaching job because she was a teacher previously in Chicago. Now, Gemma has some things that have been going on in her life. She's had a rough time. Life has just gotten really hard for her. So she thought this would be like, you know, a new start, and the job is paying like $300 a week, which is a lot of money. So when she arrives at the house of this family, she meets this white family. And then she realizes that they're not actually white, they are black, but they are so light-skinned that they pass for white. So they definitely look down upon her. They do not think she is similar to them in any way. They treat her very differently, like a maid or, you know, some servant. They don't make their distaste for her unknown, and that is a reoccurring thing that happens throughout the book. She finds out that there is no like tutoring job, and what she's really there for is to break this curse on the family. I thought that the first half of the book was really interesting. The curse was interesting. I think the dynamic between Gemma and the family were very interesting, and I liked the build-up, learning about the curse, trying to figure out how to break it, trying to figure out why the curse was there. I liked all of that. However, about halfway through the book, when you find out what the curse is and it's less of a mystery at that point, there's less to figure out, it becomes so repetitive. And it dragged and dragged and dragged, and I was just kind of like, when does it end? Like, we know what to do. Just go. Just go. Like, get it done. Like, because this family is not, they're horrible. The family is terrible. I wanted Gemma to leave so bad. I just wanted her to walk out of that house and never look back. And she stays for several reasons, which if you read the book or you have read the book, you know what they are. And, you know, I get it, but it was kind of a frustrating read. That I was just like, oh my god. I hate when the main character is being so badly mistreated, and they can leave. They can. I mean, there are some reasons why they should stay, but they can leave and they choose not to. And that is just something that I have a really hard time with, It's very irritating to me, and it did make for a frustrating read. I did like the overall messaging of the book. The book does have a heavy focus on forgiveness and forgiving people. You know, I just think it could have been chopped in half. Like, it just kept going and going and going and going, and I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, just end. Please just end. And that sucks because I did enjoy the first half so much. I really liked the beginning and the setup. I thought it was very intriguing. But after you find everything out and there's really no mystery there, I felt like there wasn't anything tying me to the story, which sucked. And that led me to want it to end faster and faster and faster. So, I don't know. I liked it, but I had issues with it. I think I'll settle on a 3-star, honestly. I think it's not bad. Pretty sure this is a debut, yes? Yes, debut. I mean, for a debut, this is great, but I just think it did make a frustrating read a lot of the time. I can see a lot of people enjoying this one, but I can also see people feeling like me and it being more of a 3-star. So unfortunately, this is not our final girl. This is probably gonna be our second to last spin, I think. Maybe 2 more books, so this one and then one other. So I hope I get something good, something fun, something easy maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. Let's spin the wheel and see what I land on. An arc, an arc, an arc, an arc. Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to peruse my arcs because I think I have an old arc that fits the bill for this. So let me look. Okay, so this is a very old arc. This is The Darkness of Others by Kate Houlihan, and this came out in 2022. I haven't read it yet, but I believe the author, it says that the author is a biracial Jamaican and Irish American. And I have never read anything by this author before. It does say this book is perfect for fans of Ruth Ware and Lisa Jewell, which is very intriguing to me because I do love Ruth Ware and Lisa Jewell, or at least I've liked one Ruth Ware and a lot of Lisa Jewells. So, yeah, I don't remember what this is about. I think an actress... Oh, okay, so a movie director has been murdered and his wife is missing, so they all believe that she killed her husband, and her best friend is a psychiatrist, so she's going to try to prove that she's innocent. So I don't know, but that's what the back says. So I think this is gonna be the one that I go with, and hopefully I'll like this. It looks like it could be really good. I love a thriller, and I want to read something fast-paced and easy and nail-biting and all those things. So I'm going to read this next, and I will report back when I finish it up. It's called Washing Machine Ambiance. Look it up. Yeah, I'm filming. No, kidding. Actually, they probably do have Washing Machine Ambiance. I should look that up on YouTube. I think it would be relaxing. She said, as a fellow mom, she could understand how scary it was for Imani to pick up a toddler having full-blown allergic reactions. But Jay was in middle school and older than Layla. Both he and Philip knew not to eat peanuts or go around holding hands with near strangers. Surely she and Layla having a PB&J wasn't a big deal. Moreover, Tanya had just spent $11 on a case for Lila's backpack. And she said, I'll make sure not to cook this anywhere near him. And Imani says, I know allergies are a pain. Philip plays his down because he's in a kitchen. A chef with a food allergy is kind of taboo, but it's serious. And she says, death and cancer were serious. Losing a job was serious. Getting thrown out of an apartment during a pandemic after your child support was abruptly cut off was serious. A peanut allergy was an annoyance. Easily managed by reading packaging and not eating food that she'd already agreed to label. Why is she blowing off a peanut allergy so wildly? I swear I had been reading this freaking book for 2 weeks. It's been like 3 days or maybe 4 days, and I feel like it's been 3.5 million weeks. Okay. I hate when I hate a book in vlogs. Like, I actually hate it so much. I don't mind giving 3 stars. I don't even mind having just a 4-star, like, solid reading vlog. But when I actually hate a book, it is so depressing. Because it takes longer to film, the reading drags, and then I just feel like I rant and rant and rant and rant. And I feel like no one wants to watch that. I feel like no one wants to watch me rant about how much I don't like a book. And unfortunately, I'm about to go on a rant because I really didn't like this. Let me give you a synopsis. Now, this is going to be a very complex synopsis because there are a lot of people in this book, and they're all semi-related to each other. And I don't mean like blood related, but just like they have relationships to each other. And there's going to be a lot of names, okay? Just bear with me. I'm going to make this as easy as possible. Okay, so one of our main characters, I say one because we have a lot of perspective shifts in this book. We get different perspectives all the time. So one of the characters is Imani. Imani is a therapist and she's married to Philip. Philip owns a restaurant, okay? So they're married and they're friends with another couple, Melissa and Nate. Now, one day Nate is found dead and everyone suspects that it's murder, and Melissa, his wife, is missing. So of course the natural course of thoughts are Melissa killed her husband, right? However, Imani and Melissa are like BFFs. They're besties. And Imani's like, nope, 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 nope. My girl wouldn't kill her husband and leave her daughter by herself and just like disappear. It's not in her nature. Now we're gonna enter another character named Tanya, and Tanya is a waitress at Philip's restaurant. Okay, she also has a daughter. She's a single mom and she's getting money through her daughter's dad, and it's a whole thing, but then she loses all the money that she's getting and her job's in danger because this book takes place during the pandemic. So she needs some help right now. She loses her apartment and she tells Philip, and Philip is like, hey, we got this room at our house. We'll let you rent it, right? Everyone's connected, okay? There's also a perspective from this guy, which makes sense in the end because his perspective felt very random the whole time, but he's involved with like investing. There's also a maid. There's just like, there's a lot of perspectives, okay? And Imani is trying to figure out where Melissa is and what happened to Nate because she doesn't want her friend going down for this murder that she didn't commit, right? Okay, that's pretty much what the book's about. Now, if you know me, if you've seen some of my book reviews, if you've heard me talk about books, I'm gonna say this again, okay? Something I absolutely hate, something I absolutely despise, something I cannot stand is when books take place during the pandemic. Yes, I've said it 100,000 times, I'm gonna say it again. I don't like when COVID is mentioned in books, okay? I understand that it's relevant to our time. This came out in 2022. I understand the thought process for it. For me personally, I don't want to read about COVID. I don't want to read about people using masks and social distancing and washing their hands and not being able to do things. Like, I lived it. I really don't want to escape into a book and have those things that I'm escaping from come back to haunt me. So that's a personal preference. I know some people really don't care, and that's totally fine. I understand that it's like setting the scene and blah, 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 blah. I get it, okay? I can't stand it. So off the bat, I really didn't like the beginning of this book because it was just so much COVID pandemic talk that I was like, I don't want to read this. The second thing about this book is literally every character is the worst. I hate every single person in this book. I can't stand Imani. I don't think she's a very good therapist. I think the only thing I think she's really good at in the book is her friendship with Melissa. Like, I think she's a good friend and that's about it. Like, I can't stand her in any other capacity. I didn't like Tanya. I didn't like Philip. I didn't like anybody. Like, everyone I just thought was so stupid and aggravating, and they all just got on my nerves. And I know that, you know, not every book has to have a likable character. They can have unlikable characters, that's fine. Personally, I like to have at least one likable character. Maybe not necessarily at least one likable character, but at least like have a reason for the unlikableness. I like if I'm doing like a character study kind of book and the unlikability is, there's a purpose to it, you know, like there's a reason why these characters are terrible. I feel like that's kind of better than, oh, this is just a thriller with really stupid, awful people. Like, I don't know. That's just a me thing too. So again, some people probably won't care. I thought everything was super predictable in this book. I don't really consider it a thriller because nothing really happens in it. It's very boring. It's very slow. I feel like it's just a lot of meandering and nothing happening until, I don't know, maybe like this much into the book, you're like, oh, things are happening, cool. Like, that's it. I feel like everything else, I'm like, okay. The only thing I liked about this book was Imani's and Melissa's friendship. I thought that was pretty cute. It wasn't a big enough thing for me to really enjoy the book. I think it was overshadowed by all the perspectives and all the setting of the scene and all the COVID talk and the dawdling until getting to the point. I feel like it was all overshadowed, and I could have liked that, but you know, it just wasn't a big enough part of the story for me. I think for some people they'll really like it. I think this will be up people's alley, but this is not the type of thriller I like to read. It's not a story that I personally like or thought was memorable. I'll probably forget it in like a couple days. I'll probably forget it by tomorrow, honestly, so I'm not that impressed by it. I will probably give this 2 stars. All right, let's do our spin and see what I can find in my shelves. Thriller! Ooh, okay, perfect. I have just the book. Oh my gosh, this is working out so well for me right now. I mean, at least the genre category things are working out great. Okay, so I think the next one I'm going to read is The Wife Before by Shanora Williams. I read this author's other book, what was it? The Perfect Ruin, a couple years ago, and I really liked it. I was really impressed. And I'm excited to read this one. I think it's more of a domestic kind of thriller. So I don't know how that's gonna go because I don't really like domestic thrillers that much, but I'm excited to give it a read. It's been on my TBR shelf for such a long time. So I am very excited to finally read it. So this will be our next book. I think this is this will be our 5th book. I can't count. This is our 5th book. So I will start reading this and let you all know what I think when I finish.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
Okay, so I finished The Wife Before. Here to give you my thoughts. Let me tell you what this book is about. So in this story, we're following the main character, Samira, and she has really bad luck with keeping jobs. She just kind of is floating through life, and she's having trouble keeping jobs and keeping her bills paid and stuff like that. She encounters this man named Roland, and every time I read his name I thought it was Ronald. I don't know why the N and the L were just like switching around for me, so I called him Ronald like 98% of the book. So Roland, he's a professional golf player and he's very wealthy, he's pretty famous, and they hit it off. They end up getting engaged pretty much like as soon as they meet. I think they're married within 6 months of knowing each other, and she ends up moving to his mansion in Colorado. Now, he had a previous wife who passed away, and he was a suspect because it was a very suspicious death. And she ends up finding these journals from his dead wife, and she starts learning things about their marriage and about what happened before she died, and she starts trying to uncover things, and she gets tangled up in this web. I actually really liked this. I think this is one of those books where every character is very, very, very flawed. They all make very bad decisions. They make very irrational decisions. They don't really think through their decisions. And I mean like every single character. Like every single character you meet and you learn about, I just feel like is not super smart. So I can definitely see this being a book where you don't like any of the characters, but I didn't feel like that hindered my enjoyment of the book. This is a good popcorn thriller in my opinion because the chapters are super short. It's easy to fly through. I read this in a couple hours. I just sat and read it in one go, and it's just easy to consume in that way. I actually feel like it was similar to Verity by Colleen Hoover. I know we all hate Colleen Hoover. If you liked the way Verity was written and how the main character reads the manuscript and all that stuff, whatever, you know what I'm talking about? It feels like that because Samira is reading the dead wife's journals, and you're getting her side and you're getting Roland's side, and you don't really know what's true and what's not. So I feel like if you liked that similar storytelling, you might like this. I feel like I can't say too much about it because it's not mind-blowing in any way, but I thought it was really easy and really fun. I liked a lot of the twists. I thought some of it was not predictable because a lot of twists that came out of nowhere I didn't see coming, but like at the end I wasn't super shocked at something that happened. That's probably very confusing, but I know what I'm talking about, kind of. So there was like one thing I was super sure of, and then in the end I was like, okay, yeah, I saw that coming. So I do think that the twists were really well done and it was enjoyable. I'd have to give it 4 stars because, like I said, it's an easy, fun, thrilling little ride, and I had a good time while I read it. I don't think it's my final girl. I would say the black girl survives in this one, and Where Sleeping Girls Lie were my favorites, but Where Sleeping Girls Lie is definitely by far my favorite of the video. That is the final girl for sure because I just love that one the most. I had such a good time while reading it. The only 2 that were really disappointing were The Darkness of Others and This Cursed House. Those 2 are the only ones that I'm pretty sure I would unhaul because I didn't love them as much. But everything else I actually really did have a good time reading. So I think this was a pretty successful TBR slasher. That's gonna do it for this month's TBR slasher. I hope you enjoyed the books that I chose. I hope it was interesting, fun, engaging, enjoyable, whatever. I hope you had a good time. If you are enjoying this series, please give me a thumbs up so I know, and we'll continue this wild ride through 2025. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss another video. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!